Building a fusor is a very dangerous process, mostly because of the high electricity that's used in the reactor. Certain precautions need to be taken, such as wearing gloves that shield me from high electricity. The temperature in my fusor varies, but it's approximately 100 million degrees. My name is Jackson Oswalt, and my Guinness World Records title is the youngest person to build a nuclear fusion reactor. So as a kid, I've always been interested in building things, and when I was younger, I always worked in my grandfather's wood shop, building little figurines and things like that, and all of that creativity eventually led up to building something like this. I've been interested in nuclear physics for about 3 years now, and my fascination probably started when I saw an article on Taylor Wilson, who was the previous youngest person to build a nuclear fusion reactor at age 14. Essentially, the difference between nuclear fusion and nuclear fission is that fusion is combining two things, whereas fission is the splitting apart of an atom. I have been able to use electricity to accelerate two atoms of deuterium together so that they fuse into an atom of helium-3 and also release a neutron, which can be used to heat up water and turn a steam engine, which in turn produces electricity. So I'm going to be demonstrating what's called a demo run, so I won't be doing full-on fusion, but I'll still be creating a plasma within the chamber here. And the first step to doing that is turning on this pump here, which will remove most of the air, and that takes about 10 to 15 minutes for it to do its job completely. I've been working on this project for about 2 years and about 1.5 years to originally achieve fusion. This project was very complicated. I'd say the hardest part was figuring out how to make the seal airtight on the chamber. So I spent about probably half a year trying to get the seal correct so that it wouldn't leak out air. So once this pump has done its job, then I turn on this pump back here. This is called a turbomolecular pump. What the turbomolecular pump does is it removes the last tiny bit of air needed to be removed so that fusion can occur. It spins up to 10 times faster than a jet turbine does. There are definitely some parts of my project where my parents were definitely questioning whether or not they should keep giving me funding to do this.
There were a few moments during the project that I had some reservations. I would definitely be Googling things before he turned on various stages.
You know, I didn't know enough, just like his mom. We didn't know enough to have reservations, to be honest.
He did a great job of explaining it to us and all the precautions and why it was safe, and so I ultimately ended up trusting him.
Once that air has been removed, I add back a tiny bit of gas in the form of deuterium. Deuterium is an isotope of hydrogen. An isotope means a type, so it's just a different variation of hydrogen. Alright, so now the pump has removed most of the air from the chamber, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on the electricity to create a plasma. So as you can see, a plasma that looks like a glowing ball of light has been created inside the chamber. And if I were going on a fusion run, so I was actually attempting fusion, I would now add some of the deuterium gas, which is the fuel. I achieved this record when I was 12 years old. So as a young child, like most kids in my school, we all loved the Guinness World Records books at our school library, so we would all go down there and check them out every day. It feels great to be a Guinness World Records title holder. Hopefully, nuclear fusion will be cost-effective and a great source of energy that helps us stop climate change. So in the future, I'd like to open an organization that provides funding to kids like myself that aren't necessarily as fortunate as I am to have the funding to do something like this. So anyone that has the interest and the idea and the talent to do something like this, I'd love to be able to. It was a long process. This is the nuclear fusion reactor. It is about 1 year old. It required a lot of changing up parts that I purchased off eBay so that they could accomplish what I needed them to do. This thing spins up to about 10 times faster than the standard jet engine that pushes a commercial flight. And crank up the voltage to about 50,000 volts. That creates a plasma, which is the fourth state of matter, inside of this thing that's called a grid. And I figured since I was so much younger than him, I'd at least have a chance at becoming the new youngest. And a year later, here we are.
Um menino norte-americano de apenas 12 anos, do estado do Tennessee, Jackson Oswalt, surpreendeu a todos quando conseguiu gerar energia através de um reator de fusão nuclear que ele mesmo construiu dentro da própria casa. Apesar do teste ter sido bem sucedido, ele terá que passar por um período de análise, até que seja reconhecido por especialistas mais experientes no assunto. Conselhos que acompanham o desenvolvimento de soluções envolvendo energia nuclear no país já aprovaram o feito de Oswalt. Estima-se que o garoto tenha gastado cerca de $10 mil no experimento, valor bancado por seus pais. O garoto agora, aos 14 anos, quer encontrar financiadores para realizar o projeto de levar energia a lugares que não têm acesso.
Most kids today spend their time on social media for fun. When it comes to 14-year-old Jackson Oswalt, fun is a little different.
I started searching for things on the internet about, nuclear things just because that's what interests me.
After deciding he didn't want to play video games all day, Jackson got to work on a nuclear fusion reactor. And it all began right here in this room in his Memphis home.
This is the inside of the lab, and right here is the main piece, the nuclear fusion reactor.
It took Jackson a year and a half of connecting dots before successfully achieving fusion, a process that smashes atoms together using high temperatures and force to produce a burst of energy.
Being a parent of somebody that was as driven as he was really impressive.
Experts from Fusion.net, an online forum for amateur physicists looking to get hands-on experience with fusion, verify Jackson's results and say he's the real deal.
You have to jump through the right hoops, and we have to believe you and see what you've done.
It just means that I've successfully combined two atoms of, in this case, deuterium gas, while ejecting a neutron.
The process is similar to how the sun powers itself, but scientists have yet to figure out how to build a fusion reactor that, like the sun, releases more energy than it takes in to power things like homes and buildings.
We are still far away from making a working nuclear fusion reactor to produce electricity. So you can think about how challenging it is to make a fusion reactor.
The 14-year-old is now hoping to open that challenge up to other kids.
I'm working on creating an organization to fund the projects of kids that aren't fortunate enough to have financial support.
Who knows, it could lead to science's next great invention. In Memphis, Charles Watson, Fox News.